Hello, this is Arsene Wenger and you are listening to Highbury and Heels.
Well, hello and welcome to our 21st episode of Highbury and Heels. We come to you straight after the Huddersfield game and it's the end of the season. So today, as you can hear, my partner in crime is back. Soph, welcome back.
Yo, how's it going?
Well, don't know really. I'm already missing it and we haven't even finished properly.
For crying out loud. Take a breather, take a Xanax, do something. I mean, literally, I need a bubble bath and I need I need a head massage. I need to go away for a few days, digest, regroup. Granted, I think we're going to be missing it in a few days, but come on. We need a break. This has been a season horribilis. Everyone needs a break.
It has, but I'm very excited about the next season. I haven't said that for many years. So before we continue, I've got one of our mates on our podcast tonight, which is so nice. So I want to welcome Tom, who is the host of the Gooner Talk TV, writer on Spanish football, he's so posh, and a regular on the radio Talksport 2 with no other than I love, Hugh Wizzy. So Tom, welcome to Highbury and Heels.
Thank you very much. It's an honour to be here.
Oh, by the way, she loves her bell. She's a bit odd.
Gary Lineker. If Gary Lineker gets the bell, then Tom will get the goddamn bell. All right?
And I've been on Tom's Gooner Talk TV quite a few times over the last couple of years, and he's a brilliant host. So I just hope I do as good as you, because you know I don't like hosting.
I'm not judging, I swear.
No judging. Don't worry, everyone will judge us. Don't worry. We get judged on everything. But welcome. Thank you for coming on at such short notice.
No problem at all.
So I just want to check. I haven't watched the game against Huddersfield, but I've seen the goal.
Didn't watch anything last week either.
I couldn't. I was in hospital.
I know. I'll give you a break.
Thank you. And this week I tried to find a stream, and as I did say before we started recording, I'm so computer illiterate that even when I tried to get one, it asked me a question that I thought was going to blow up my laptop. So I thought, do you know what? I let you talk to me on WhatsApp. I saw stuff on Twitter. So Tom, have you seen the game or not?
I saw it through the best possible, completely legal stream that I could find. So I've seen enough that I can talk about it as best I can.
Right, that's brilliant. Well,
I can't believe that the two people who live in England were unable to get a feed on the game, and the person who's in on the other corner of the earth in Southern California had a nice, crisp, clear view of everything.
And that's the problem.
What's the world coming to?
Everyone on my Facebook who's based in America or around the world would tell it was watching the game. I'm sitting in the same country it's being played in and I can't watch it. And it drives me insane, honestly. But anyway, okay, so Sophie, just give us a rundown.
We were rubbish. They were really good. We were lucky. Our goal was wonderful. We improved after our goal. Huddersfield really deserved at least a point. And we basically performed the way we have over the last few weeks. But the difference was we actually got points away from home in 2018. Whoop-de-woo, Arsenal.
Well, yes, I've just been on another pod and we've been discussing this and all the boys did watch the game. And I wanted to point out something. Of course, we've got that, and we'll talk about Wenger in a moment. But Aubameyang, since he's been with us, 13 games, 10 goals. No one's even talking about that. That is very impressive. I'm really, really chuffed that he's with us now, and he looks hungry, doesn't he? Tom, what do you think about Aubameyang?
I think he's brilliant. I still genuinely can't believe he's an Arsenal player at times. Obviously, when he was at Dortmund and he's smashing in the goals for the German side, when you hear as an Arsenal fan the amount of transfer talk shows that go on and strikers' names come up here like left and right, and most of the time we always say the words, can I have a realistic name from someone please? And whenever Aubameyang's name came up, it was always a case of no, because it's never going to happen. But it has happened, and I still can't believe it. And the fact is, I think he's got to 10 goals in the Premier League faster than anyone else as an Arsenal player, which is a brilliant statistic for him to get. But I think he's really just taken to it. You mentioned how it's gone under the radar. I think that does come onto the fact that, one, obviously our manager is leaving, and second of all, that the focus at the end of the season was certainly on the Europa League, a competition which he couldn't play in. So that was always going to have a detrimental effect on his profile. But I think next season we've certainly got someone to look out for.
I know my early feedback was delivered with a hint of sarcasm, and I do apologise about that because I am trying to find the positives, and Tom's 100% right. Aubameyang has been refreshing, and to have someone of his quality, I think finally we could say we have another world-class player in our team. We lost one in Alexis Sanchez, and we really had to gain one in terms of losing him. The goal that we scored was really indicative of what these front three could do together with the combination of Ramsey next season, with a manager that's going to give them a lot of confidence, and hopefully they'll all stay fit and have the opportunity to continue to gel and play together. The Mkhitaryan, Lacazette, Aubameyang combination is probably one of the things I'm most excited about seeing next year. And if we can get our back four to that quality, then this Arsenal team improves immediately.
Interestingly, on the last pod I was on, Kenny and Tom and I's mate is insistent that they all can't play together. Ramsey, Ozil, Mkhitaryan, Lacazette, Aubameyang. What do you both feel about that? Do you feel they can? Do you think they can all fit in, or do you think someone's going to have to go? Tom?
It's really tricky when you think about it, because we've got so many creative talents in that team, and to be honest, this season, moving forward, hasn't been the biggest issue with our team. It's been at the back, and that's where I think that the manager that we're going to bring in will hopefully be more defensively focused and bring that security to our defence. It's a case where I think people will get either moved on or will get dropped, and our system might change. To play Aubameyang and Lacazette in the same system, for me, it requires playing two as out-and-out strikers, because if you play one on the wing, you are taking away some of the quality they have, and you are restricting the talent that they're able to bring to the team. So that's what I personally would do, is that I would go with two up top. But it's obviously something that as Arsenal we have not seen for God knows how many years now, and we don't know if the players that will be remaining at the club into next season, how they'll adapt to that sort of system. But that's just my take on how you would squeeze both of those top talent strikers into that team.
Yeah, it's a nice, refreshing headache to have. Today we played a 4-3-3. Iwobi, Xhaka and Ramsey were playing in that three in the midfield. For me, I think Mkhitaryan's going to become one of the most important players, and I think could really quickly become our most important player, because Ozil isn't consistent enough. If there were a few more games left in the season and we had a manager who actually had the balls to drop Ozil, this team performed poorly today, but when they were going forward in the moments where they showed connectivity, someone like Ozil changes the game, but we need him to be more engaged. And that's why I think Mkhitaryan could potentially become our most important player, because he's been more consistent. And we can't have Ozil just dipping in and out of big games. So it's a good headache to have. With the amount of games we're going to be playing again next season, rotating the squad's going to be key. I'm just wondering if Lacazette's going to end up being the frustrated player out of all of those that we're talking about, Amanda and Tom.
I don't know, but I want to just pick up something that you just said, and it's really interesting. There seems to be a lot of hate for Ozil at the moment. I don't know Tom's view on it. I know your sort of view. My view's a little bit different to most people. But Tom, with Ozil, I've always felt that he's sublime to watch, that he graces the pitch, but so many people don't see what I see. So maybe I'm wrong, and maybe he does choose when he wants to play. But his agent came out after the Martin Keown attack on him and said, you know what, he has got a bad back, they are monitoring it, he's got a bad immune system, whatever. What's your take on Ozil?
It's a really tricky subject, and as you mentioned, our good friend Kenny often reminds me of one side of the argument.
Yes.
And then you've got my good pal who resides in New York, Drew, our German expert on the show, who's completely the other way and reminds me of the positives that Ozil brings. For me, I sort of get stuck between the two of them. It frustrates the hell out of me when I see the team sheet come up an hour before kickoff and he's not on it, and it typically is you get the response on the ever-present amazingness that is our Twitter accounts and Arsenal Twitter in particular, that people say he's picking and choosing when he wants to play. I can't get behind that. I think it seems ludicrous. My logic behind it is that they are being extremely cautious with him. I think Wenger is respecting his need of Germany in the World Cup. And they obviously, Joachim Low will not want their star player to be injured on the injury table for the tournament. So there's that. But at the same time, I think that he can do more in games. People say that he runs a lot, and the stats show that he runs quite a bit, but it's the commitment, it's the getting back a little bit more than he is doing. But at the same time, as you say, I see all of the positives as well. I see the amazing passing quality that he has. I see the points why Wenger keeps him on the pitch, because he is capable of playing that one-time pass that's going to win you a football match. And I think it's something that's worth having in the team. And if the next manager comes in, and we just talked about systems, I pray that he finds the best way to get Ozil starting in this side.
I think I can understand both points. So we just spoke about Mkhitaryan. I think we all love Mkhitaryan. But do you feel that he would be replacing Ozil then next year?
No, I don't think he'll be replacing Ozil. I think they'll play either side and Aubameyang down the middle. I feel like maybe Lacazette will be the one that doesn't start all the time. I think Aubameyang has earned the right to start all the time. But look, Lacazette's come into himself a little bit more towards the end of the season, hasn't he? He's actually come back from the injury with a point to prove. 2 new signings coming in. He's been injured. And so he wants to show every single Arsenal fan, because he's a confidence player and he really needs the fans' arms wrapped around him, that, they bought him because he was quality in Liga at Lyon. So, and he's an international for France as well. But Mkhitaryan, to me, has that X factor that Tom's talking about with Ozil. And I feel like he's the type of player, too, that can turn a game on its head. And I just think that they'll be able to – they've already complemented each other really well when they've played together. So, for the new manager coming in, I think the least of his worries is our line going forward. The issue I have with Ozil, as I said, is he's got to show up in bigger games. World-class players carry their teams. They find a way, and he has been sublime at times this season. But I need him to be sublime against City, United, Liverpool. Granted, he played a lot better against Liverpool this season in that amazing game, probably the game of the season for me. And so, I just wish that if he did that a little bit more, then we wouldn't be on his backs a little bit more and people wouldn't be talking about him right now.
Let's just go back to the game today. Okay. It was Arsene Wenger's last game. I watched a lot of the fans' celebrations with him. I watched him. He looks so happy today. Actually, since this has been announced, he has looked so happy. I thought the fans were superb today. I thought Huddersfield on 22 minutes singing One Arsene Wenger was so amazing and so respectful. And I saw Nottingham Forest's Twitter did a tweet about legends and they put him next to Brian Clough, and I just think the whole football world has really respected him, and that is fantastic. What I would like to say is that I have been a fervent wanter out for about 3 or 4 years, and that hasn't changed. But what I did want to say, and I said it on the other pod, is that I would like to thank him for the first 10, 11 years of the most amazing football I've ever seen, winning the league at White Hart Lane and Old Trafford, the Invincibles, the FA Cups. Honestly, I've been to football since the middle 70s, haven't I? And this started in the middle 90s. And George Graham started it, gave me the most amazing footballing night of my life. And it just went on from there. And I am very, very grateful. For me, he stayed too long. I don't want to disrespect the man now. He's gone. We move on. But I think what I saw today was a lot of love for him. And you see it on social media at the moment, on whatever platform you're on. Other clubs go, you don't respect your manager, but he's not their manager and he hasn't been through what we've been through. I feel for me that he should have left after the whole game, the whole final. Even then was a bit too late, but I wanted him to go on a high. And you know what? It didn't matter whether we won, lost or draw today. We were going to end up 6th. It's lovely we've won for him. It's lovely we kept a clean sheet, and the goal looked gorgeous, didn't it? It was a proper footballing goal, which he would have been proud of. So, I would like to point that out, because as much as I've wanted him gone, it's still a sad day, isn't it? It's a weird feeling, really, because it's so exciting. I love change. And on the other hand, I'm a bit apprehensive as well. So, Tom, how do you feel about Wenger?
Yeah, I completely emulate with what you're saying. I think it's a case where you've got a man who's been there, and me, and I don't mean to make anyone feel old, as I often tell you at the pub before the games. But as I was born in '94, I've only known Wenger as manager, and it's a really surreal moment as an Arsenal fan to see a guy who's just been this complete icon for the club for so long. And you spoke about Nottingham Forest. I saw a tweet the Roma Twitter account put about Totti and making the comparison between how long these two giants of football have been at their clubs and have left now. It's a case where I've also, like you, been an advocate for change for quite a while now. Not as long as I know plenty of other people have been. And it took quite a while to really come to terms with the fact that I did finally want him to leave. But I think that it is the right time, and it has been the right time for a while. It's a really big shame that it couldn't be with the Europa League final, let alone winning the competition. But I think that he can take positives from the team that he's left. I completely agree with his comments that we've got a team at Arsenal which is a special team, and we're not seeing the best of it. And I think that's what I'm most excited about, is seeing that our next manager might finally be able to get the complete potential about some of the players that we have at this club.
I think we all get caught up in nostalgia, and nostalgia is a beautiful, wonderful, magical thing. And sometimes even at family events, you know, you may have had a row with someone, you're at a wedding, you have a couple drinks, you kind of sit down, you start talking about stuff, reminisce about the old days, then you realize why you love each other in the first place. And, you know, until people have walked in Arsenal fans' shoes over the last few years, you know, they've been very conflicted because they've had the best years of their lives with Wenger, and Tom doesn't even remember George Graham and the '89 squad and how magical they were. It's different to look back on it, and then it's different to live it, right? So you've lived through, you know, the Invincibles era, which was, you know, just unprecedented in football. And to do that in the Premier League, at a time when it really was on another level of competitiveness. You know, I respect what Manchester City have done this year on 100 points, but when we look at some of the teams back then, man, it was tough. And so, you know, for that, I think we'll always respect him. But I think this Merci Arsene thing, and I've been part of that. And, you know, I met him here in LA. He was just wonderful and lovely to me. But it doesn't change how I feel about their needing change at the club. And I think it's really important that we don't lose sight of that. And today's game was just another little reminder of how, you know, shaky our defense is, how they're not cohesive, how positionally they're not off, how they're not being coached, you know, from week to week because they never rectify the mistakes they make. You know, the distance between our midfield and our defense just grows with every game, even though Jacques has improved. So with all that said, you know, and as much as I love and respect him, I'm excited we're moving on, and it's a new chapter. And of all the top 6 clubs, we've never really had that, you know, and it's kind of weird, but I think also really cool that we're moving on finally.
Yeah. I mean, I'm really excited. Are you excited, Soph, about next season?
I am excited because I'm excited for every new season. Right, guys? But this one is, you know, blank canvas time. This manager can come in and really, let's see if he's got balls. Let's see if he's got the balls to come in and say, you know what? Not good enough, not good enough, not good enough. Gone, gone, gone. I want to see ruthlessness from this guy when he first comes in. And then I want to see him build a team to his personality. Every team evokes their manager's personality out on the pitch. Look what we've been. We've been nice, we've been pleasant, we've been cordial, sophisticated and classy, but we lost our edge. So yeah, for all those reasons, I'm really super excited about, you know, August. It couldn't come. Well, no, it can't. I need a rest first. I need my massage and my salt bath.
Do you know what? And they call me a diva. Massage and salt bath. I love it. So, Tom, look, you know, I've been on your pod and stuff, and I know you do one every week, and you're on the radio with Hugh, and you write a lot about football. I know you're into football. And this question, just a little bit. This question has been non-stop asked to me. The first one was, do you want Wenger in or out? The next question is, who do you want as manager? Now, this is my argument, and then I'll let you two speak. My argument is this. I don't know. Okay. And I'll tell you for why. because everyone's, when I say everyone, that's quite a sweeping statement, but what I see is no one wants Arteta. Okay, no one, they're all worried. Everyone wants Allegri or, Simeone or whatever. Fantastic. But let me just tell you something. First of all, that manager's already been signed to us because Arsenal are a big corporate company in the world. They don't just sack a manager or the manager leaves and we don't have a plan. So that's been done. My argument is this, and I've said this on social media for the last 72 hours. How do you know how anyone's going to perform until they start performing? So, as I've said before, we could sign a world-class player and he might not do it for us. We could sign Arteta, who could be hungry, who has learnt under Pep, who has Arsenal in his heart because he's played for us and wants to succeed as a manager that could do really well. We could have Allegri come in and not really do what we think he's going to do. Or it could be the opposite. Arteta could fail and Allegri could win the league with us. My point is this. How can anyone be so vehemently opposed to certain managers coming in when really, on paper, of course, Allegri does look better. I understand that point. But I will support anyone they bring in, anyone that changes this mentality and can teach defenders how to defend in a proper way. So, Tom, do you have a view? Is there a certain manager you particularly want, and what's your reasons for that?
I mean, first of all, what you said there is completely spot on. I think when you're considering a new manager, I've got this absolutely horrid fear that whoever comes in straight off the bat, if it is someone like Arteta, someone who's not got a vast amount of experience in management, even Vieira that's been talked about as well, there is going to be a massive backlash by the Arsenal fans. And I'm only going off experience of what we've seen from even players coming in themselves in the last 10, 15 years. But I think where I stand on it is, if it is someone like Arteta, I'd be excited because I think there is a case where you can't turn around and say he's been sitting on the bench doing nothing at Manchester City this season. I think it's very obvious that he has stamped his own, his style, his advice and his input onto that team as well. And I think that what he's learned under a manager like Pep Guardiola will be invaluable and a priceless asset if he was to join the team. If it is someone who I'm more inclined to want, like an Allegri with the experience, who's a completely different dynamic. He's someone who looks more at the game from a completely different stature, where he looks at it more defensively, but at the same time he's created such attacking flow and talents. He's developed the likes of Dybala, a great young Argentinian talent who came in from Palermo, and he's got the players like Mandzukic, who was really lost when he joined, and he's really been able to suit this guy up and founding him a new position. So I think what he's going to, if he was to come in, which is where I'm thinking it will actually go, I think it might be Allegri that the one that it is going to be. I'm really excited because who I want to come in, who I think we could get, and who I think is the logical choice, are all three completely different things. But Allegri would be my choice. And
who is that, Tom? Who is your choice?
If I could choose anyone in the world,
anyone,
which is a completely different question, I'd actually lean more towards Simeone. And if you'd asked me that question 3 years ago, I would have said anyone who wants Simeone is completely mental. So it's amazing how things change. I think what he's shown is that Simeone is not completely just about defensive football. I think that he's taken a player like Antoine Griezmann and completely changed the player from what he was a left-sided winger at Real Sociedad, and he's turned into a free-flowing attacking talent in a more central role and as a second striker. I think that he's taken players like Kevin Gamera and completely transformed their careers as well. So to say that Simeone is completely one-dimensional is I wouldn't go as far as an insult and say it's naive, but I think it's just quite narrow-minded to look at Simeone that way. But I'd be very excited, as I say, to see if it was Allegri, someone with that great experience in Serie A, to come in and take this team forward.
I agree with you about Simeone because, a lot of the times we see his team when a lot of people have more eyeballs on his team in the Champions League, where you do have to play a little bit more sensible football. See filed under Tottenham's second leg against Juventus at home, which they should have done. Pochettino should have done and played smarter football. So I feel like sometimes when fans have got more eyeballs on a team and the way he plays in Champions League, everyone thinks, oh, this guy just plays defensive football, but you've hit it on the nail on the head, Tom. If you watch Atletico Madrid in La Liga, yes, it's different, but as I said, playing in Champions Champions League is different. You've got to be a little bit smarter, especially in the knockout phases. And this year they got punished, didn't even make the knockout phases. You know what I mean? So I think that he learned a strong lesson in that failure and how he's gotten this team to Europa League. He makes adjustments. He's not just a one-dimensional coach. You're right. He manages the game and he manages it minute by minute, but he also prepares like a fiend, and he creates an irritant in his teams that make the other team feel like it's already tough before they've gotten out on the pitch. And he said it himself a few days ago. You know, I set out to make this team irritating. And I think that those kinds of coaches are the ones that I like, the ones that have a thing to them. George Graham had that. He made our Arsenal team really irritating. Wenger did it differently with the Invincibles team. He just made us completely unplayable. So before you got out on the pitch, and he had that in him, but he lost it, right? Allegri, if you watch the Netflix show, I think Arsenal fans would really fall in love with him if they saw his attitude and his application and his demand of his players. And what it means to be at Juventus, you know, at the old lady. And I love the respect factor that he brings. He's got that same demeanor as Wenger. So I wouldn't be upset with Arteta either, because that potentially sees us going down what Barcelona did with Pep and what Juve did with Conte. An ex-player, ex-captain comes back, has semi-legendary status at Arsenal. Arteta, I think we love and respect him. He's not on the same level as other players, but he became the face of the club. And I think that he did well when he was at the club. And when you're playing, you know, if it's okay for Steven Gerrard to go manage Rangers, why isn't it okay for Arteta to come manage Arsenal? Right. I know it's a nothing league, right? But you still have to manage a club that has a massive history. Rangers, that's a high pressure job that Gerrard's going into, you know? So I say, why not give him a chance? Our fans need to take a step back, because I don't want this to get ugly really quickly before we've even kicked the ball in August.
The thing about Arteta, it's quite funny, because when he left Arsenal to go to Man City, the amount of people that I saw that were annoyed with the fact that he'd left us to go to City, and now there's these rumours he can become manager, and the reaction to that, it's so contradictory, it's almost laughable.
Well, it's really interesting, actually, because the first time I ever went to the Etihad, I was in a box, and on the way out, I saw Vieira, and I didn't see him. The mate I was with went, "Man, there's Vieira." I went, "Where?" And I went, "Patrick," like this, like I knew him. And he went, and he looked up, and I went, "When are you coming home?" Well, he gave me the filthiest of looks. He didn't even talk to me. We'd just beaten City for the first time. Do you remember that? 2-1 or 2-0 that we'd beaten City. God, I can't believe I was there. And I was buzzing, of course, so you know me, I'll talk to anyone, but he looked at me in such disgust. But you know what? That was the big mistake, letting Vieira go to City. I'd love Vieira back at the club, but then I do live in a little bit of a romantic world. I want Vieira, I want Bergkamp, Henry, Adams. I know Adams hasn't had a great managerial record, but I do live in that world of romance with Arsenal, unfortunately, because, you know, as we do, it doesn't matter whether you've loved the club a week or 50, 60 years. You, as Arsene Wenger said today, and it's very true, he said, "I am an Arsenal fan," and he really is. But just something I wanted to pick up on, Sophie, was when you said about the fans, okay? I've been to a lot of Northern games this year, Liverpool, City, United, wherever I've been, and it is toxic, and it was last year as well, and it wasn't nice. And as I said, I started Highbury mid-70s, I suppose. I've never seen anything like it. It started to get toxic at the Emirates probably about 5-6 years ago. I saw people arguing. It was really, really weird. So I would like to say this. I hope we can all come together now. Social media is a wonderful platform, but something that happened to me in the week that would have affected quite a few of other people, but it doesn't affect me because I don't suffer with certain issues that other people do. I just feel that sometimes it gets out of hand and it's very disrespectful, okay? And in life, and I am older than all of you, and I say this a lot.
We're definitely older than Tom.
I'm so much older than Tom. I could be his mother. But I just feel it doesn't cost anything to be nice and respectful. I am sarcastic. I have a lot of banter. I'm funny. I just will have a laugh with you, and I'll tweet whoever. I don't have all this big account, small account. I don't know what numbers you've all got. It doesn't bother me. If someone's respectful and wants to talk to me about football or life, I'll talk to them. But someone came at me the other day quite derogatory, and that could have affected someone else quite badly. In the end, I just blocked after having a bit of backwards and forwards. I would like to say, especially as we've got a platform, that just be a bit more respectful and be mindful that you don't know what people are going through. A lot of people are struggling at the moment mentally as well. And I just feel that you're behind a keyboard and you're very safe. Okay, but you don't know your words can affect somebody in what way. So it was just my little rant that I wanted to say, that just be respectful. And if you don't like what someone says, have a debate with them. Trust me, plenty of people don't agree with what I say. I've got no issue with it. I actually love having debates with people, and I have changed my mind on certain things. And yes, I did put a tweet out last week that I do regret putting out, and I have apologised, and I'm not going to go into it again about Arsene Wenger. But as I said, I put it out the minute after we lost to Atletico, and I was probably had a little bit of red mist, and I was upset. So, you know, it doesn't cost anything to be decent and have a laugh with somebody, but just be mindful of what you say, really. Anyway, that's just my rant over.
Tom, do you have anything for the soapbox? Do you need to get on it for 30 seconds?
No,
Open mic night.
I think it's a case like I've been extremely agitated and frustrated in the past, and I've never. I can hold my hands up. I can say that, and it's something that you shouldn't probably even feel proud of. But in this era of what Arsenal fans could be like on social media, I sort of do feel like I'm proud of the fact I've never abused the man. I've never said anything insulting towards him. Of course, I've said I was at the Crystal Palace game when we lost 3-0, and I'm ashamed of the fact that I was in the crowd and I was one of the people chanting, "You're not fit to wear the shirt." But I was that angry in that moment that it just felt natural to do that. But with Arsene, I think whilst it's emotional at the moment and he's leaving, we have still seen in these last few games against Atletico and away to Leicester as well, that the problems don't just disappear just because he's leaving. The problems are still there, and there is a reason why we're getting rid of him. And I think that was an important point to remember in these last few games.
Yeah, and I hope it's just not an excuse now where people think that, you know, we have one bad game, you know, let's all go at the new manager. People need to be really sensible. Right. Before I make a wee announcement about this next segment, Tom said he was really good at capital cities before we came on air. So I'm like, sure, fine. Let's see if you're good at capital cities. What is the capital of Bolivia?
La Paz.
Well done.
Oh, I think he's going to know, Soph.
No, I was the capital city queen in junior school at St Michael's at Bowes, way back there in Palmer's Greek, or Palmer's Greek. You see, I even called it Palmer's Greek. All right, what about Oman? What's the capital of Oman?
Man, that's a really tough one. Oh,
don't Google it.
Good. I'm not. No. I genuinely don't know. Hasn't it got? There's a funny fact about it though, isn't there? It's like the largest capital city or something.
Something ridiculous.
Yeah. But no.
Come back to it. You can come back to it at the end of the show. Right.
After I've Googled it.
After you Googled it. Totally. Right. Everyone's on their capital toes here. So here we go. Amanda, you know, it's not really been, let's face it, Amanda and Tom, it has not really been the kind of a year where you give out awards to Arsenal players. I mean, it really hasn't. So I'm reluctant to call these our Highbury and Heels awards. Maybe they could be our Highbury and Heels recognitions. What do you think about that, Amanda? Sounds like a Hallmark card, doesn't it?
I thought you could say it sounds like a hormone. We can do awards. Yeah, we've gone through a 2017-18 season. Let's do it.
Here's how we're going to do it. We're going to put each one up as a poll on the Highbury and Heels Twitter feed, so at Highbury Heels. But right now, I just want to do a quick 5-minute round here with Tom and Amanda and get their feedback on some of the categories. So we got best goal, best game, most improved player, best new player, Biggest leader when we have one, because in most games we don't. Most likable, player we miss the most, and most annoying player. Right, Tom, I'm going to start with you. Your favourite Arsenal goal this season?
That's the toughest one.
That's what I was thinking. I didn't know this was coming.
Let me give you that last.
All right, let me give you some choices. Wait, let me give you some choices.
Yeah.
Here's some I throw out. I'm going to do with El Neni to Lacazette, the header versus Leicester. That pass from El Neni was beautiful. Bellerin's last gasp winner, equaliser in the League Cup against Chelsea was pretty cool. Ramsey's cheeky bugger in Italy in the Europa League.
Yeah.
Ozil to Lacazette, the third goal versus Liverpool, was a little bit cheeky. Ozil's volley against Newcastle, and then Xhaka's second goal, which could be put down to a goalkeeping mistake against Liverpool, but it was still a rocket.
I really like, mostly because I was there, which makes it slightly biased. I loved the Ozil goal against Newcastle, where it was headed out, wasn't it? And he just catches it perfectly. And it's one of those where the keeper's just sort of flailing his arms about. But yeah, I'll go with that one.
Excellent. Amanda, which one?
Well, I'm going to go for one completely different. And can you believe I've even thought of this? What about Giroud's Scorpion? Was that last season, or was it the one before?
Last season, babe. That was last season.
Oh.
Yeah. Well done. You know what? Now you bring up Giroud. How about this? The player we miss the most. A, Giroud, B, the Ox, or C, Walcott. When you think about what happened after January, obviously Sanchez isn't in there. He can't be, right?
It has to be Giroud. It has to be Giroud. I just think that we lacked the amount of games, and whilst I think that Eddie Nketiah has the potential to be a great player, you compare the impact between bringing on the likes of Giroud compared to Nketiah, I think it's incomparable. So for me, it's definitely Olivier.
What about you, man?
Oh, I'm going against you again. I think the person we miss the most is Santi. I'm sorry, but I miss Santi desperately.
I'm talking from the people we sold, but there is another button on there will be another button called Other, and you would go into the Other category.
Sold would be Sanchez for me.
A couple. Oh yeah, well we can't talk about him.
Why?
All right, most improved player. On the list, I have Wilshere, Chambers. I know it sounds like vinegar coming out of my mouth. Xhaka and D Other.
I'm going to go for Granit Xhaka. I think that he's proved a lot of people wrong in a lot of matches, and I still think there's a lot more to come from him in a system where he's actually playing with someone who can defend next to him rather than being given that responsibility himself.
I totally agree. Amanda, what about you?
Yeah.
On the Jack train.
Yeah, I'm a bit of a Wilshere girl, aren't I? But I agree with Xhaka because I've always defended the fact that he's been played in the wrong position, and I think he's actually a really good player, I have to say. So, all right, let's go with Tom. I'll go with Xhaka.
I think we started seeing the better of him when Sanchez left as well. I think as bad as we've been and as bad as he has been, when he's been good, he's been really, really good. Okay, best new player. I'm biased on one of these, but I had to throw him in there, even though he's only played twice. Aubameyang.
I know that's
such an obvious
answer. You know what? No, don't you dare put Mavropanos in there.
Best new player, Aubameyang, Mkhitaryan, or Mavropanos. Come on, son.
Do you know what? That's a tough one, and I'll tell you why. Because I think Mkhitaryan, I was so excited when he came in, but I was told he's not consistent. I think he changes our game. But then you look at Aubameyang and what he's doing. I'm sorry, not Mavropanos. I've only seen him twice, and once he got sent off, even though I don't think he should have got sent off. I'm stuck, actually. Tom, what do you reckon?
Well, it's tough, isn't it? Because obviously Lacazette came in and he was our top scorer. But then you've got Aubameyang, who's come in just towards the end of January, and I think he's got one less goal than Morata, which is, when you think about how much they paid for him, a ridiculous stat. I have to go with the Gabonese striker, because I just think, one, it was so shocking. Two, he really has hit the ground running. And he has just been absolutely brilliant for us. So yeah, it's Aubameyang.
All right. So before we do a bit of crystal football stuff, got a little surprise for Mystic Mand here and
God.
Tom. Listen up. Here we go. Last one. And everyone, look out for these tweets coming at you this week from Highbury and Heels. Get stuck in, get voting, because we're going to do another show later on in the week where we do all of the results and we talk about new manager and all that exciting stuff. And in true American Idol fashion, maybe Tom could come back for the results show.
I'm not sure Tom's recovered from this one yet.
All right. Okay. We'll give him another 8 minutes and then he can escape for the rest of his Sunday. Best game of the season. I mean, for me, it's an easy one, but and then one, even though we lost, but I have to say it's Arsenal v Liverpool, the Man United game, even though we lost, and Arsenal v Burnley. That was just one of those reminders of the Showtime Gunners, you know. Tom, your favourite game this season, and the other, of course, is always an option for you.
I'm actually going to go with the other, to be slightly indie. I'm going to go for the first game of the season against Leicester at home. It was a whole new season. We had this horrible record at home of not winning the game, and Mr. Ollie G pops up with a header to win it right at the death, with Lacazette scoring his first goal as well, which was it was a game which ultimately set us up for what we thought was going to be really promising and gradually petered out as it seems to do. But I'd love that I was there, and I got to watch it with a good mate as well who only comes over from America now and again, so that was great as well.
Lovely jubbly. What about you, Mand?
I'm going to choose one of your matches, actually, and I loved the Liverpool at, I was going to say Highbury, at the Emirates. I loved that. I mean, I'm not being funny. I love watching Salah, Firmino and Mane anyway. I just, honestly, they're my favourite front forwards from another team. And yeah, it was a really good game. Really, really good. I think did we go 2-0 down, then we were 3-2 up, and then it was 3-3 or something?
Yeah.
Ooh.
We had a mad 5
comeback.
minutes.
Look at me remembering, my God.
Yeah.
Honestly, I never
it was the
remember anything.
best 5 minutes. It was the best 5 minutes all season. It was just magic.
Yeah, really
Is that the
enjoyed
best
that.
5 minutes of Wenger's career, do you think?
His career?
In
Well, that's
terms
a big call.
No,
In a
Tom.
match, I'm talking about. Not in terms
No,
of
the turnarounds at Hull in the cup final, probably.
okay, that's pretty
Yeah,
good.
there's that one. There's many. There's loads. Probably.
I'm just trying to categorise 5 minutes of his career.
Well, probably.
Yeah, 5 minutes.
If you think about the Invincible season, there might have been a game we were losing that we literally scored in the last few minutes to
that
keep.
Middlesbrough game, the season
Yeah.
after, with Reyes scores. It's close. It's a good one.
There's probably
This is a good
lots.
one. This is a good one to come back with.
Yeah, I like that. Another category.
Very much so. Hoping that there's always something you forget. So that could be a good shout though. Now when you've said the 5 minutes,
Yeah,
wasn't
Wenger's
sure
best
if you
5
meant
minutes.
best 5 minutes.
Okay,
yeah,
so-
that's a whole other
So,
conversation.
if you were asking me about George Graham's best 5 minutes, what would you think I would say?
Oh, I
Oh
wonder.
man, I wonder.
Just have a
I mean,
question
if
for
you
you,
get
Amanda.
it in-
Were you there? I can't remember if you were there or not.
Do you know what? Regardless, and I've never said this before, regardless whether I was there or not, I would have been going effing ballistic wherever I was. And I'm glad you've touched on that slightly, because I'm going to do a special in a couple of weeks with a couple of special people that were at Anfield in '89. One's never done a podcast and still doesn't want to do one. One has, and one's going to be coming on as someone who watched it on TV. So watch out for that, because obviously it was May the 26th, 1989, and we're coming up to that. Right, okay, so we're going to end now and I would like to say, obviously, thank you, Tom, for coming on so late, as a guest for us. You've been brilliant. I knew you would be, though. I would
Thank
also,
you for having me on.
I would also like to say thank you to my partner in crime, because honestly, you've been a rock through all my personal stuff, all my Arsenal stuff. You've always been there for me. Our time difference kills us, but we manage to speak most days. I need you to move back to England as soon as possible, please, and stop with this 9 hours rubbish. But I love you to pieces, and you make Highbury and Hills, me and you together, I love. And thank you for your support.
It's been Sorry, the truth, I pulled my headphone out prematurely. I don't know what happened there, and I just listened. I heard the tail end of it. It was very sweet, but
you haven't heard the rest of it. Just go with it, Sophie.
You don't want to know what she said at the start. You really don't.
No, too funny. No, it's been a ride. It's a lot of people who do podcasts, don't make a shit ton of money, and most of us don't make any money.
Have we ever? I've never made a penny in my life.
No, I haven't. So, I think so much respect to everyone out there who podcasts and does it and has a day job and all that type of stuff, because, you do it because you love it. You're passionate about your team. You get to meet and speak to some amazing people. You build a community of friends that you never would have had, through the art of talking football. And it's been amazing having all the guests that we've had on the show. From the big guests to our Arsenal fans of the week, our Arsenal key informers like Tom. It's been top class, hasn't it? It's been real top shelf. So thanks to everyone who's made the time.
And also thanks to everyone that listens and tweets us and Facebooks us. Thing. Yeah, I mean, without them, I don't even know if 10 people listen or 10,000. I don't know who listens. But all I know is that most of the time we get great feedback, and we love constructive criticism as well. I'm a big advocate of that. And I know Tom does his own podcast, and he works full time, and he's got another job. So it's not easy for any of us. We don't just rock up, sit down. I used to do that years ago, but not anymore. And just chat. So yeah, no, I'd like to thank you, Soph, because I'm driven you mad with my computer illiteracies. My Norton's not firing up. I need someone to come and help me with my computer. But I'd also like to thank everyone that listened, and we've hit over 2,000 followers today.
It's amazing.
On Highbury and Heels. I mean, we're just a very small little podcast that's had some great guests, and we are continuing through the summer. We're going to do lots of different things. So why don't you tweet us and tell us what you would like to hear? We're not just going to be discussing transfers and the new manager. There's going to be lots of different things. I really would like to get, lots of Arsenal fans on to talk about their experiences over the years, because everyone has, different experiences of that. So on that note, the season's over. Mr. Wenger has left us. I'm glad he left on a high. Again, I would like to thank him for the most amazing, beautiful football probably I will never see again. Thierry Henry, everything. Sol Campbell, one of his best buys. To bring him from Tottenham was just an amazing coup. And Merci Arsene. And basically, as I always say at the end of every pod, always Arsenal.
Hey, I'm Jules Breach.
Hi, I'm Adrian Childs.
Hi, I'm Jason Candy.
Hi, my name's Lee Dixon.
I'm Alan Smith.
Hi, I'm Ryan Giggs.
Hello, I'm Matt Lucas.
Hi, I'm Andrew from Arsblog.
I'm Gary Lineker, and you're listening to Highbury and Heels.